Hey y'all, welcome back. I'm Shayna Cersei and I'm so excited to paint with you today. Today we're going to do another page in our watercolor journals. And if you're new here, there's several other videos, over 100 other videos where we just paint in our watercolor journals, all kinds of different subject matter. Today we're going to be doing some more florals. So I'm going to be doing kind of a simple, somewhat sparse, just arrangement of pink. Well, they're going to be more kind of fall colors, so more burgundies and faded oranges and maybe a little faded violet colors with green. And yeah, I'm going to be doing tiny little flowers and just lots of them with a lot of kind of greenery coming out. And I'm going to make my composition go from bottom to top, like across the page this way. All right, so let's talk about colors really quick. Oh, to go over supplies and materials, don't forget you can check out the description for links to all of my supplies and materials. But what I'm using today is my trusty Bao watercolor sketchbook. This is 100% cotton, 140-pound cold press. I have Core, QOR by Golden watercolor paints. This is my larger palette. And then I'm using a silver black velvet brush today with water and paper towel. So that's pretty much it. So the first color I'm going to pull out is my Quinacridone Magenta. I'm also going to be pulling out Sap Green. Oh, and my silver black velvet brush, this is a size 8. So a little Sap Green. And I'm also going to pull out some of this Diarylide yellow, which can also be, it's just a very warm yellow, and a yellow that kind of borders on an orangish color. Could also be a gamboge yellow, would be in that family as well. And then also let's pull out a little, I was gonna use my Dioxazine purple, but I think I'm actually going to make my own purple. And I am going to use Ultramarine for this one, and Magenta. And I have a little magenta in this palette over here, so I'm just going to mix it over here. So a little magenta and ultramarine gives us a nice dusky blue purple. All right, so these are the colors that I'm going to be using. Let's just swatch. Well, do I want to swatch them out? No, I won't swatch them out on here because I kind of want this to stay somewhat clean. So with my magenta, I am going to be making a brown at some point, but first I'm also going to make an orange color. So let's pull some magenta and some of my yellow. We're going to be making a nice light. So I'm adding just lots of water to make it a lighter color, but a peachy orange color. We have there. And then to make brown, I'll make that right here. I'm just going to use my magenta and I'm going to mix it with my sap green. I'll make a lovely little brown. And then if I wanted to add some yellow to this, I certainly could. If it was a little too red, I could add a little more sap green. I could even add a little bit of the blue to it, but and then lastly, I will certainly pull in a little Payne's gray into some of these. So there's my Payne's gray as well. So lots of different colors to choose from. It looks like very complicated, but I promise it won't be. So for my magenta, I'm just going to add a little sap green to this one just to bring down the tone a little bit. So if you haven't watched any of my color mixing videos, those would be really great to watch before this because I'm using a lot of those principles and I'll try to go over them. But basically, the primary principle that I use to make dusky or more muted colors is going to be mixing complementary colors. So knowing your complementary colors. Complementary colors are always a secondary and a primary color on the color wheel. So again, not to get into all of the color theory, go check out those color mixing videos. But when you make your color wheel, you have red, blue, and yellow. or some approximation of that. Those are your primaries, and your secondaries are orange, purple, and green, and those are always going to mix with a primary to dilute them, and vice versa. I hope I didn't confuse you all. Okay, so let's get started. I'm going to start by, I'm going to build from the bottom up on this one, and I'm going to start with some of my greenery. And I picked my silver black velvet brush today because I want to get really delicate on some of the stems. And this brush does a great job of kind of holding this very fine point tip. So I'm just going to build this out here. I'm going to just press down. Come around here, and one of the things I want to work on is really being mindful of my leaf shapes and having lots of different leaf shapes, like the sides of leaves, not just the full flat on like perfect front of a leaf, but like this one is a little they get wiggly. We see parts of them, we see parts of the sides. So I'm just trying to work on that. The sizing on this surface feels a little off. So the sizing is what the surface of your watercolor paper is treated with. Maybe it's just me. And let's see here. Come out from here. Okay, so I'm going to leave that, and then I'm going to start to put in some flowers. I'm going to add a little more magenta over here because I got a little extra green in there by accident. So I'm going to use these colors, these three colors here, I think, as my primary colors. And I'm going to be making little 5 or 6 petal flowers. I'll leave a center open. Trying to remember to vary the value of some of the leaves or petals. So there's one. We have many more to go. Also varying the shape of my petals, so some of them will be flat on the sides and I'll put centers in. If it helps you to maybe put the center in and then go around it, you can do that as well. And I'm going to try to make this a little thicker here and then curve up this way and be a little thinner. I added way too much. That one is very wet. Kind of looks like a butterfly. Drop a little extra in there. Let's pick a different color. And probably normally on a single branch of flowers, you're not going to have variations in color like you do here. Some flowers certainly, like hydrangeas can be. I have a bush outside that it's like as it's dying, I feel like hydrangeas look their most beautiful as they're dying, which is awful. But as they kind of go through that maturation process through fall into winter, they just get these beautiful, like multicolored layers to them. So this one's on its side. I'm going to throw some greenery in here in a minute. As we kind of build up the next layer. But yeah, those hydrangeas are really these beautiful dusky, actually like greens and purples. I think I have some like sitting right behind me that I cut. Oh, see if I can do this without making a whole mess. Whoops. And bring them on camera. Oh, look at these. Look at all those colors. This is all from the same plant. Blues and purples and greens and pinks, and just gorgeous. Just gorgeous. And they're essentially dried flowers at this point. They're not, they have no life left in them. They're not in a vase with water. They're just kind of on their way out. You probably could hear how dry they sounded. Alrighty. Let's add some greenery to connect a few of these things. And I'm also going to add, because it's feeling a little flat, I'm also going to add some of my brown into the centers. So I'm going to make that brown with my magenta and sap green. And I'm also going to add, make it nice and dark, some Payne's gray to it. So let's dot in, and I'm kind of like stippling in. Some of these are going to be a little damp, and you might get a little bleed in there, but I think that's okay as long as it's not too dramatic. And then the ones that are on their sides, you don't need anything in the middle, so don't worry about those. And I'm not putting like a solid little blob in the middle. I'm leaving some texture and some white space. And what I want to do with the rest of these, I want to do a better job at varying, like I said, the value of some of the petals. So making some of them darker and some of them more light. So we are getting like that beautiful transparency of watercolor. Oh, that was a pretty messy one, but that's okay. A little ultramarine in here, make this a little more purple. I kind of like that, a little bit of maroon into my sap green to give it a little bit of a rustier color as well. Yeah, let's add some of that color down here. And then I'm going to make, I think, some tiny little buds. Let's throw some buds out here on the sides. Uh-oh. All right, I'm going to come down here into some of my first ones I've done, and I'm going to add, I might regret this, but these ended up looking a little flat. I'm just going to add another layer. Let's get some more of this orange in here. So that is the magenta, a little bit of green, and a little bit of yellow. And then kind of poking out of these buds, we'll put a little bit of color. Pick up some of that brown again. Fill in some of this space with little petals like behind. And let's pick up a little bit more green. Let's see here. Connect a few more of these things in between. Keep our, let's see if this goes this way. And a little magenta. Just a little bit more of an olive tint to it. Add a little yellow. So it's okay to play with your colors, experiment a little bit. Let's see. Just gonna put a little few flecks. There we go. Let's see. Did we miss any spots with our brown? So again, it's just, I'm just using what's on my palette because I'm kind of done with those. So sap green, magenta, and Payne's gray for a brown. And I can go back in now that these are dry and add even a few darker areas. A lot of times that's all it is just contrast, layers of contrast. So a slightly lighter version of the same color, slightly darker version, more saturated. Gives it a little dimension. There we go. Now that I've run my hand all down this side, I have little water drops all over here. See if I can pick those up without making a mess. Again, I'm just going back into some of these areas with another layer, a little bit more texture. But you don't have to do that. You can keep it real simple. And I'm going to come up here. Then I'm going to take a little bit of green. I'm going to get the back of this. So where those side flowers meet, do you want to make sure they're connected via the back of it? Right there. All right, I could definitely probably be done, but I'm going to add a few buds over here just because I can't help myself. Do a leaf and a bud there. I'll do a little bud here. So the green part that's like holding the flower bud in. And I'm going to pick some of this purpley gray, which I have to make some more. Just ultramarine and magenta. There we go. I think we're all done. All right, so this was a lot of fun. I hope you enjoyed this. Take your time, experiment with colors, work on your brush control, and have a good time with this. All right, don't forget to check out the description for links to supplies and materials. Like the video, leave a comment, subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so, and share with someone else who you think might like to explore the world of watercolor and start a watercolor journal. All right, take care, y'all. Happy painting.